I think it's a sign of the Notre Dame. A bunch of them were city council.
What'd she say? We can't go. Mary,
I put an agenda, Dave, I put an agenda up there for you too.
got it.
That's fine.
Yeah?
We're just running out.
Just you know. I think that, you know, not maybe and then I think review and somebody says something negative about it. I just figured out how to get to use the symbols when I do a text on my cell phone. Well, you don't have a smartphone. Yeah, helpless, but I got it.
I got smart by 8 tonight.
Are you?
Ready? Let me get rolling.
I would like to call to order the October 18th regularly scheduled Board of Township Trustee meeting.
Call the roll. Mr. Mahoney. Here. Mr. Hadiak.
Here.
Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Simcoe. Here.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval of the October 4th regularly scheduled meeting minutes. Did anyone have any corrections? All right.
All set?
Yes.
Kevin moves it.
Yep.
John
Second.
seconds.
Yep.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Hadiak.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, I have to add something, and I guess it would go under, at best, we probably should put it underneath administrator. We have to, I was at the Lucas County Township Association meeting, we have to appoint a representative to the Stormwater Board to be on the committee that's going to be on November 4th. We have to do that tonight. And I was just given the information from the Lucas County engineer at the Township Association meeting.
I missed what Mr. Mayor?
It can be a trustee, it can be anybody till we figure out somebody else, but we have to have somebody at that meeting, or being a representative on that meeting.
As the official representative, because I thought I was going to receive a letter from the county engineer at that time, putting the committee together.
I'm just telling you, when he said that they said, when he came with Brian, they said that they needed somebody for November 4th, I think is the meeting. It could be you, it could be one of us, it could be somebody in the public. We just have to pick somebody just to be on that board to, who knows stormwater. But I mean, let's put that on the agenda, we can discuss it at that time.
For discussion?
Yeah. But we have to have somebody go to that meeting, whether it's one of us or somebody. We don't have to pick a permanent person, but we have to appoint somebody just for that meeting.
Okay. Any other additions? Okay. Hearing of the public on specific agenda items. Ernie Brancham?
Is that on Carter?
Yes.
Wait till we get on the agenda.
Okay.
Anyway, wait till we get to the actual agenda item.
Okay. Then, I guess we don't have anything for zoning, so we'll start with zoning. You want to kind of give me a heads up on the administrator? Yeah. Next holiday.
Good evening. I would like to ask for this resolution to be tabled until the next meeting. The bank has contacted us and they are moving equipment into the property to clean it up, and we'd like to hold off for a week to make sure that they get it done.
Which one?
Which one, is that the abatement of property?
Two of them.
You got two of them on there.
Resolution 11-177,
Tihan.
in a property.
Yes.
The 11177.
177, the abatement.
Okay.
TJ and Tihan.
What about your other one about the zoning amendment?
One at a time.
Oh, sorry.
So this is to hold off on the abatement?
We're asking that it be tabled for a week or 2 weeks, make sure that they get the job done.
Okay.
They're in the process of doing it.
Okay. We will table resolution 11-177. And on to the next one.
Well, we need to make a motion in second.
To table it?
Yeah.
Okay, we can't, make a motion, John?
Yes.
Second. Neil? Okay, Mr. Mahoney? Yes. Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Next item of business is an amendment to the zoning resolution, which was tabled at the last meeting. It's resolution 11-157. I'm not sure if you want to go through all of this again, or if you just have particular topics that you would want clarification on.
Well, I guess I would like to ask, what is this resolution trying to solve?
It's trying to define what tall grass is and what's expected of residents who live in a subdivision, who live in a developed parcel next to an unplatted parcel, or a parcel that is unplatted in the country, essentially. So it has different parameters for each. The zoning commission thought that 8 inches was a reasonable height, since we send out 3 letters. If the first one goes out when it's 8 inches, it could be double that by the time we get to the point where we're abating it. So they felt that was a reasonable request. On the others, it asks for the property lines, within 10 feet of the property lines to be mowed, and then 20 feet off the right-of-way. And then in the country, it's just the 20 feet in the right-of-way, or from the right-of-way.
How many complaints or concerns do we get a year, or, I just hate putting something on the books that a angry neighbor could then use against, somebody where really, it's been that way for 30 years and it's never bothered anybody, but now because you've got a 16-year-old son who drives a noisy car, I'm gonna start complaining on everything I can, and, when really the issue isn't the tall grass that's been there for 30 years, but possibly something else, and I just hate giving, more ammunition, to people to bog down our zoning department, to be honest, but if it's that big of a problem, then, I'm willing to take that step, but do we have a lot of these, or
We've got,
in the country, and
how many
I
have we
understand when
abated
there's
this
an
year?
abandoned house, I'm all for, cleaning it up and making sure it's not a safety hazard to the surrounding residents, but, out in the country, it's been that way for many years, and now all of a sudden, somebody builds a house, and now they want their neighbors to keep up their property next door like their neighbor did in their neighborhood, but they're living in the country now. And I just have a hard time now going to somebody who's lived there for 20, 30 years and telling them, you've got to mow 20 feet back from the right-of-way. That's my issue. Does anybody else have any comments on it, or concerns, or?
I don't mind the 8-inch grass, but everything else I think needs to go.
Yeah.
You want to put 8 inches of grass, we can live with that, but to make somebody, like John, example, spoke a couple meetings ago about compost pile, and, his is large, mine's large, I burn firewood all winter. So, if you came to my house right now with all the sticks I picked up, since I don't think we're picking up sticks anymore, that I've got a large pile in my backyard, that'll be gone by the end of winter, but then you're gonna say I'm a nuisance and want me to tear it all up, because Neil specifically said I like to smell the wood from your house every year. So am I right, Neil,
Yes.
So, I do think, where does a nuisance begin and end? That's what I'm saying.
Well, and that's what we're trying to attempt to do, is to define it. I've been out many times when we're investigating a nuisance, and, the individual will say, well, that's my compost pile. Okay, if there's a raccoon living in it, is it still your compost pile? I don't know.
Could be the raccoon.
Yeah, could be the raccoon's compost pile.
And so, if it's right up against somebody else's property, all right?
I can understand about somebody else's property, distance away from the neighbor's property. I can understand a reasonable compost pile that's maintained and turned over and used properly for, whether they're using it for mulch or whatever, stuff like that. But if somebody's got a constant compost pile that's 4 feet high, that's been sitting there for 10, even a year or two, we got a problem. So, if you can gear it more towards that, I would feel very good, doing something about that, but you don't know how much people's doing with what.
The amount of cubic feet is irrelevant, okay? It can be 150 cubic yards if you want it, That's not the point. The point is, let's define what it is, and then, it's much easier to enforce.
I'm just concerned this is going to give Mr. Shinobar more ammunition against me, because I'm in violation of this code already, and, and fortunately for him, we're good neighbors, and he's never complained about it, but if a certain vote doesn't go a certain way, I'm thinking he might go over and check out my compost pile, and, that's trying to make light of a situation, but I'm just not in favor of creating more laws and more regulations that more people are going to abuse, just like they're, I think if you go out and you see a 20-foot pile of sticks, hey, that's not a compost pile, and that's a nuisance, and, there could be animals living in it and things, and I think that is dealt separately than saying, geez, your pile isn't 2 feet away from the property line, and it's 10 feet by 10 feet, and I would rather say, stick with the 8-inch grass, like Kevin said, and, and most of those, I'm just in favor of if a home's going through foreclosure, because that, no one is responsible for that anymore, but if anybody has any other...
I feel a nuisance is a nuisance, we bring those up anyway.
Yes.
This is 8 inches of grass, yes, is normal.
Yeah.
They have in there, I think everything else we gotta leave well enough alone, because how much we infiltrate, we can't keep pushing people out of the township and having more and more problems.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on right now in the economy, so I wouldn't go with it.
Yeah.
That's my say.
Can we vote on this with just the 8-inch grass and scratch the
We can do that.
Sure.
We have to amend it to just say.
You can take out the section 2226.
Take out, we'll
We'll just approve it with,
Resolution 11-157, taking out the,
no, just say that we're going to approve the 2203, part, section E. 2203, section
2203, Section E,
is what we're approving.
what we're approving. I offer that resolution.
Second.
Is that okay with you?
Oh, that's great. We've talked about it long enough, I'm tired of talking
Okay.
about it. Okay, call the roll. Mr. Mahoney? Yes. Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
That's all I have. If you have any other questions.
Thank you. Public Works?
The next item on the agenda, I have Greg address. Last meeting, we were directed to look at possibly putting out bids for yard waste drop-off site where residents could take their sticks and waste to different places, and Greg will address the bid that we're doing.
Good evening. Recommending resolution number 11-178. This is authorization to advertise for bid for 2012 yard waste drop-off site. We currently have a couple of facilities in or very close to the township that would be interested in supplying bids for this service. The drop-off site would be for all township residents, township crews, and township hired contractors.
And just to clarify that to the public, it's basically going to take the place of picking up debris during storms and stuff like that. You'll be able to haul your own debris to a drop-off site for free if you're a township resident. I propose that you would take your driver's license and a card from the company to show that where the township resident lives at that house, and therefore there won't be any charge to you to drop it off, which would save the township a ton of money and picking it up all the time.
Greg, what do you think we're going to save on the pickup?
Probably a couple $100,000 a year.
Couple hundred?
It's quite possible. This year, brush pickup is probably in the range between $180,000 and $200,000,
Okay.
including labor, equipment, fuel, and such.
So this is a good alternative for us to look at some other options, and along with your budget, we're looking forward to seeing your budget and see where we stand on the numbers and go from there.
Exactly, and again, we're asking for bids. We're not committed to anything yet.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll offer resolution 11-178, advertise for a bid of 2012 yard waste drop-off site.
Second. Mr. Mahoney? Yes. Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Also, just real quick, the road construction update, Sylvania Avenue at the railroad tracks might be open as early as this Saturday, depending on how much rain we receive in the next 48 hours. And then Silica Drive between Convent and Brent, there's about another 2 days of prep work. Gherkin Paving will move in shortly after, so hopefully they are on site Monday or Tuesday, and then immediately thereafter they'll mobilize to the Greenacre, Westacre subdivision. So hopefully all of this will be finished by the end of the month.
Now, the railroad has a permit for 14 days to close down Sylvania Avenue, and that would expire on Sunday.
It's possible, but they may have accumulated some rain out days during that.
Well, I know they accumulated a lot of days where they didn't do anything there too, because I walk down there many times and I get frustrated when people close the road and then don't do anything and then blame the rain on their delay. So I don't know what, we can do as a township, but I certainly am not going to extend that road closure any further without some sort of compensation or something. Because, they sat there for 4 or 5 days without doing anything but putting up all the barricades. And I know that takes time, but that's my opinion. Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Next item on the agenda is the fire department, and chief has his monthly report and a couple other resolutions.
Good evening. You have before you the September monthly report. I'll be brief on it. Page
Page 2 shows the total EMS run, or fire alarm runs for the month of September, and I have a new column that we just started comparing last year's with this year's, 2010 with 2011. We're up a little bit on our fires that we've had this year so far. Page 3, we're up a little bit, down a little bit on our EMS calls, but totally for the year of 2011, we're about 400 runs ahead of where we were last year. We're going to start seeing some of the respiratory distress numbers come down because the weather has changed now. We're not into that humid air. And also some of the auto accidents should start to fall a little bit. Page 4, mutual aid incidents. We had a mutual aid request at 9134 Sylvania Avenue, where we requested from mutual aid from Springfield Township, where we were in need of a transport unit to transport somebody to the hospital. There were no ambulances available on that particular day in that incident. And then we did have a mutual aid response with Springfield I-475 northbound at mile marker 11.0 on a vehicle fire. And that goes back to the mutual aid automatic aid response document that we have signed with Springfield. They give us help on the express when we give them help. Page 5, community risk reduction. We took part in 8 public safety events and 5 apparatus displays and 2 public education events and 1 station tour during the month of September. We have 6 plan reviews that Deputy Chief Froelich reviewed. We did 3 license inspections for preschools, and we did assisted the Northview MedTech students with their CERT program. Also, we did, on public relations, we canvassed neighborhoods. As you know, after a significant fire, we go back into the neighborhoods the following week, offer to check everybody's smoke detector in about a 3-block area of the fires, and then if nobody has a smoke detector, we provide one for them and put it up for them, and then we also go ahead and change the batteries if the smoke detector isn't working. That program continues. We did purchase about 60 smoke detectors from the Andersons. They gave us a really good price on smoke detectors to go ahead and fulfill the numbers that we're going to need for the end of the year, we hope. On monthly training, as I stated back in August, September was the ACLS monthly training, advanced cardiac life support that each paramedic on our department has to go through, myself included. And that's why those hours are doubled for that month. It's an 8-hour class versus the regular 4-hour class that we'd conduct during that time. We also had a lot of hands-on training at the tower. Personal hiring and development, we did, as last meeting, promote Dean Boers to fire paramedic lieutenant. And we completed the agility test, and last week I had 3 days of interviews with all 16 candidates that have been through the hiring process. We have 16 candidates that we're able to hire. We have 5 candidates that want part-time positions, and we have 11 candidates that are interested in full-time positions. Out of those 11 candidates, there are 7 of the full-time eligible employees that would also like part-time. And after interviewing everybody, I think, again, we have a really good crop of potential employees, smart individuals that have done real well through the whole process. With that in mind, I offer resolution number 11-172 for the Township Trustees to allow Fire Chief Jeff Kowalski given authorization to hire part-time firefighters from the active eligibility list.
Second.
Resolution 11-172 to authorize Fire Chief to hire part-time firefighters from active eligibility list.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Hadak?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Any questions, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the monthly police report. Good evening. Again, I'll make this very brief too. you can read the numbers for yourself. Just on the first page, we've got the calls for police, fire, and the 911 calls. We're staying pretty consistent month to month on those. Calls for service on page 2, we had 1,744 calls for service in the month of September. Again, year-to-date, you can see we're up a few hundred, but it's pretty consistent. We wrote 153 traffic tickets this month. Our year-to-date is down slightly from 2010. Crash reports were up on our property damage accidents, but we're actually down significantly on our injury accident from 2010 to 2011. And then you see the individual crimes there, the burglaries, the robberies, the DVs. Again, the numbers are right there in front of you. Detective caseload, again, the numbers are there. We had 56 assigned cases, 28 were cleared from that total in September, 28 remain active. We had 33 prior cases that were assigned prior months that were cleared for a total case clearance of 61. In community affairs, we have our 3 community affairs officers continuing to teach and dare. Currently, we're in Central Elementary, Whiteford, and Hillview. That instruction started September 5th. September 8th and 14th, we conducted 2 tobacco sales compliance checks. In the September 8th incident or action, we actually netted 2 violations that resulted in citations. September 23rd, we had a party patrol with a couple of officers out patrolling specifically for underage consumption parties and such. Happy to report they observed no parties that would have resulted in any kind of violations or such. The overtime for that, I might note for both of those things, the compliance checks and the violations, is supported by SCAT grants, so it's not costing the township money. We conducted our second targeted enforcement that I think I had described earlier at BW3s. I believe that was on September 27th, and again, it was pretty successful. We made several warrant arrests, wrote several traffic citations, and officers, especially our one officer with the FBI Fugitive Task Force that is familiar with some of the heavy local gang members and drug dealers, identified a couple of people who were frequenting that establishment that are well known to local police departments. So hopefully our actions that way will hit it periodically, and we'll keep that kind of element out of the township. That's our objective, that's our goal. We had received our new speed trailer. We've located that at several locations as they get called in, complaints or such. And I encourage all citizens to, if you have a street that you're having a problem with, you're observing a lot of traffic violations, speed, stop signs, whatever, call it into community affairs, call it into administration, and we'll try to get not only the speed trailer out there, but we'll also try to get our patrols to monitor the situation a little bit closer, at least for a couple weeks. And we do document all our efforts, because sometimes, quite frankly, we find that there is no problem there. Sometimes we find there is a problem there. But we do jump on those pretty quickly. I might mention, it's not related to last month, but I just want to say that Saturday, October 29th, in conjunction with National Prescription Drug Drop-Off Day on the 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our police station, we'll have the drug drop-off again. That was very successful the last time that we ran it. We got a lot of old prescriptions, a lot of those drugs that need to be disposed of in a proper way before they can end up in the wrong hands and possibly result in a tragedy. Final note, again, not related to September, we're just wrapping up our core training this week. Consisted of 32 hours of training for each of the sworn officers in the police department, and I'm told that it's been going very well. Any questions?
Thank you.
You don't call on people in the audience. This isn't fifth grade, sir.
Next item on the agenda is under Administrator. My first resolution was previous table, Resolution 11-169 from the last meeting. It's appointment of the Township Representative to TARDA. And I think there were some people on the sign-in sheet that wanted to address that.
You have a TARDA person?
Ernie.
Yes. My name's Ernie Branch. I'm a resident of Toledo, Ohio, but I'm a frequent community member, attendee for Sylvania Township. For the last 6 months, I have not heard or seen a report from your representative that represents your community, to TARDA. The term ended in September of 2011, and I had hoped to see new policy procedures and/or a new representative for your community so we can hear what needs to be said. Your representative is your key, your voice on the TARDA board, and, you know, as a frequent attendee to the TARDA board, everything must be status quo because nothing's ever said anything about Sylvania Township. And if that is okay with your members and your constituents, I would not be here today. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to voice their concerns and their complaints or their compliments. It hasn't been happening in the last 6 months. I have not seen anything, I haven't heard anything. And I think now is the opportunity that you guys have to put in a new member perhaps, and/or come up with some guidelines so the report comes back to you, the committee, and you guys can have a better representation. Thank you.
Well, you've certainly been to several of our meetings, and we've had many discussions here. And our current board member was appointed certainly before any of the members of this board were in our positions. And his term expired at the end of, or the beginning of this month. So I think we're prepared to nominate somebody this evening and hopefully get our representation back on the board. But in case you missed it, you know, we have authorized a study to be done to look at the efficiencies and the shortcomings of TARDA and see what Sylvania Township can do to make sure that our taxpayers are getting, you know, services that we need and utilize here. So with that, I would like to offer Troy Stevenson to be our representative to the TARDA board.
Who is he?
He is a member of the community. I don't believe he is. I don't think he knew we were appointing him.
See, that's what bothers me when we get representation like we did have the previous guy and we never see him or know him.
All had their applications for several weeks. I took the time to call them and go over my concerns with TARDA, and I hope each of you did as well.
I did. I'll tell you why I liked him. He's from the private side. He's logistic, Green Line Logistics. He works for LOF. He's a private guy, and I think we need an independent. My discussions with him were more of an independent. We need Ernie, I agree with you. We need to personally do a better job myself to make sure they report back. Carolyn mentioned the same thing earlier. I agree. We're going to do that, and we're going to keep a close eye on it. You can see that I'll make sure that happens. So I agree. I think Troy Stevenson, after reviewing the resumes, is from an independent standpoint, I would second the motion to approve Troy.
Okay, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
No.
John Wine?
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution 11-173. It's adopting the rates for the tax levies for 2012.
Wait, We do have, before we start the administration piece, we have two people who have signed in to discuss the agenda items. That would be Penny Levine.
I'll pass right now because there's been no discussion on it.
Well, this is on agenda items.
Right.
Okay. And John Marshall.
That'd be a ditto.
Pardon?
D-I-T-T-O, since, that's a ditto.
Okay.
I'll pass.
Okay. So,
This is a resolution that the township will pass that determines the levies and the amount of levies that will be collected for 2012. We will take this resolution and forward it to the Lucas County Auditor's Office, and they will then put those levies on the tax duplicate for 2012. One of the items on the resolution in the rates is last year, the trustees approved not to collect the 1.5 mil police levy, so that was not on the tax duplicate for this year. As it is now, it's not on this tax duplicate, but by you passing this resolution with a set amount in there, or no amount in there, we will fill it in and forward it to the auditor's office as you deem by your resolution.
This resolution doesn't pull up on my computer, is it?
There is no
resolution. Because I have a list of what we're collecting.
I have a copy of it if you...
Do we have a list of what we're collecting and not collecting?
Well, we're collecting everything except the one item we did not collect this year was the police. That was the only item we did not collect.
For this year, are we doing the same for next year? Is that what
Well,
we're doing?
it's up to the board what they want to pass in this resolution.
I feel in this economy, with the way things are dropping out, financially, we need to reinstate that because, as I was at Sylvania City meeting last night, they stopped their tax holiday because their resources are declining. According to the new rules passed by the governor with his budget amendment, we're going to be reducing our income over the next 2 years. There's going to be several things cut out. And I do not want to get in a situation where our police department is in a financial situation like we're having a little bit struggle with our fire department when the way the crimes are, things are getting in Toledo and murders. I want to make sure we're safe and secure, and I think we need that money for training, for improvement in the building, and if we give up that money, which equates to $24 a year, that's a lunch with some friends. You know, I take a friend to lunch at $24. I'm not going to give up a lunch for my safety of my community. I'll skip my lunch one day. So I think we need to make sure that's reinstated because it's safety, it's number one. I mean, if we had $20 million sitting in like CSB does, and they're putting their levy back on for 0.9 mils, then I think that's wrong. But I mean, we don't have that much reserves at the police department. I just checked our capital reserves, we only have $350,000.
we have $3.6 million in that fund, Mr. Haddad, so...
Correct. Total said 350. That's what we have left for the balance this year. I just checked with Mr. Beck today.
Okay, and there are 2 months remaining?
Correct.
Okay.
And for the year, we are under budget in that department, correct?
I know,
Mr. Beck?
but I mean, there's so much more we could do if they weren't restricted so much. Because like I said, it's a lunch.
Well, I think you need to be a little bit more accurate with your figures. For an average homeowner, it's about $75.
No, that's for a $100,000 home. It's $24 a year.
Well, how many $100,000 homes are there? I believe the average home price in the Sylvania Township is around $200,000.
I checked with the auditor today, it's about $168,000 average now because of the decline in the value.
So $50 a year.
Huh?
So you're...
So about $50, $45 to $50 a year.
Okay.
That's dinner. Okay, I'll skip my dinner one night.
When you went to the city of Sylvania last night, you went to the city of Sylvania because there's a shortfall in the department in their general budget is why they decided not to enroll a holiday. We have money, we're under budget. If we were to enact this out, we've got till 2018 before there'd be a levy.
I disagree with that because I don't think we need to put a levy on if we have the money for permanent. Why do we need to go back and ask for the money?
Let me keep going, please not interrupt me. Okay, so... my facts here. Okay. If I have to tell the citizens that we're collecting a levy, that we have plenty of money in, when there is, I I can't look the citizens in the eye and tell them that we're collecting more money on a levy that we may have to worry about in 2018 to 2021. And in my opinion, people are taxed out, including myself. We've had a tough year getting taxed on a lot of different issues. And why do we need to collect something when right now there's no need for it? And I'm not disagreeing that I'm not concerned about the future, okay? And I have concerns right now, and I have concerns about the future. So I'm looking at more towards a half a holiday, is what my opinion would be. Because I don't think, every citizen needs as much help as they can get right now, and thinking about 5 or 6 years from now is certainly prudent and important, but right now, it's just too much, we got too many taxes being put on.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you can give me a general answer if you know the answer. How much money does the township actually get from taxes from our citizens out of your, let's say, $5,000, $6,000 a year paying taxes? How much that actually goes to the township, you know?
I don't know.
You know? It's about $400 that we actually collect that goes to the township. The rest is county. 70% of our taxes is school levies in Sylvania Township. 70%. I don't see the schools saying, well, we've got too much or we need to work out. For me to give up a lunch, what you're saying now, we're going back to lunch, I would give up a lunch to make sure that we have a solvency because we're going to have a decline in revenue over the next 2 years. I guarantee you, there's no doubt about it because of what the budget includes. I spoke to the state, that's where we're at.
If we went half out, just say we went half out, the rest, let's say we did a complete holiday. We have a complete holiday, we'll be out till 2016, 17, without even that. If we did a partial for the next 4 or 5 years, or all the way out, we'll be out to 2018 and 2019. If we do a full amount, we're out to 2020, 2021. I don't know about you, but I can't, 4 years, I can't think what I'm going to be doing 3 months from now as far as my bills are concerned, let alone 7 or 8 years. I think going halfway and being fiscally responsible to the citizens and being fiscally responsible to this levy, the citizens approved it 20-some-odd years ago. I'm not disagreeing with that we don't need to do something, but to go full way, I disagree completely with it.
I believe too, our residents are going to be hit with the new school levy next year and the stormwater tax this year. And, if we can give them a small break, I think every bit these days is appreciated. And I do have the same concerns, but, last year, we gave our, this should not impact the officers' day-to-day whatsoever. Last year, we gave them a fair raise and a bonus, and, I just don't see where it's going to impact the safety of our community. And, it might only be $50, it might be $20 to some, but at least it's something. It shows that we're trying to be responsible. I do applaud the chief for coming in under budget this year. I mean, we started the year with $3.4 million in the bank, and this year we're going to end with $3.6 million. So, I mean, to add another $600,000 to that just so we have it there doesn't seem prudent. And next year we will address this same issue. And personally, the way we've gone about focusing on areas that we do have control of, such as TARDA, it's my goal to relieve our residents of about half the burden of what they're now paying TARDA, and then maybe come back and address this. And if the circumstances change, we can always add it next year. I mean, each of these scenarios projects if we do this every single year for the next 4 to 9 years, and I just think that our residents would appreciate something. So I would like to offer the motion to reduce the police.
Do you want to hear anything from the public, because I think these people signed up?
You know what? We offered to let them speak on agenda items, and they chose not to.
That is the
We had
idea.
no info when it wasn't on the internet.
So now she has
It's
a
not even on your screen.
Well, you signed in here, both of them, for the tax holiday, Mr. Marshall.
Right.
And it was under the administration, as you've seen on the agenda.
It's not on there, that's Charter Board.
And then explanation right there. Let them speak.
We haven't seen any of it, we don't even know what the millage was and when it was.
At this point, if you want to speak on...
Hold on, he's going to let you speak, I think.
I just asked both of you, you put on there administrator, Penny, and I told you this is the administrator section.
Exactly.
And you declined to speak.
And you know why? What am I gonna speak on when I had nothing on the internet when I checked it, and there's nothing on your screen now? How can I speak about something when I...
Why did you put down administrator then?
It's under administrator, according to the agenda.
This is the administrator portion of the meeting.
Right.
So why, again,
You
didn't
know what,
you speak on
John?
it?
You understand, you know what I wanted to speak on, why are you arguing and splitting hairs? If you don't want me to speak, just say so.
Well, it's unfortunate that,
It's unfortunate that the games are being played, Mr. Genowine.
I second that one.
Let him speak, John.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it should be much, let's hear what they got to say.
Penny Levine, 3753 Her Road. Unfortunately, guys, as I just expressed, very limited information. That was my concern. Also, what did go on last night was Sylvania City, and it does put them in a poor light once the 2007 and 2008 elected to pass by taxpayers at the time that it was on the ballot, was given a tax holiday for the 07-08. Now they have found out what that kind of behavior has done. Yes, it sounds nice, but when you're dealing with increasing insurance policies and you're dealing with contracts that come up and expenses that may be coming down the road, I think it does not behoove our taxpayers to have something reversed that they had approved of prior. Unfortunately, it has always been used in the past. Other governments that such pre-election to say, look what we are doing for you taxpayers. And I would hope that this is not one of those actions at this time, shortly before this election. I think we have to look at expenses that are coming down the road that may be unforeseen, training hours, vehicles, whatever may be coming down the pike, and you don't give back that kind of money that cost you money to get it implemented in the first place at this time. And I know times are tough, but when you're talking about safety services, that's when I really have to question that. Thank you.
My name is John Marshall, 5850 Durban, Sylvania, and I'm running for Township Trustee. Now, before you start and tell me I'm acting like a fifth grader one more time, let me tell you that you serve up there at the whims of us, not of you. Every time I see you up there, you act like a child. You even told Mr. Haddock you don't like his hair. What kind of crap is that? We've got business in this town, or township, and you don't seem to represent us very well. Now, as far as the tax abatement or tax holiday, who came up with that one? Now, these police that you're seeing back here have lost some training hours because they've had to cut back on their budgets for various things. I don't know what you told the chief, I don't know what you told him to cut back, but somewhere along the way, these guys aren't getting their training properly. And I'd rather have my $45, my $50, or my $90 go to these guys' training, or even to take care of them, rather than have it back. And if you're buying votes, this is a good time, 2.5 weeks before an election, that'll help you quite a bit. That's not very funny.
It's sad you're even bringing this up, John.
Is it? It's sad that you brought this up. Ask these police officers back here. My dad was a cop. Excuse me? I'm talking right now. You know you...
Finished. Mr.
No, I'm not.
Would you please escort
Am
him
I
out?
finished, Mr. Beans? Okay, I'll keep it
This is
done.
not a political speech.
I'll keep it
This is
done.
mandated by the... No, you're done, sir. You're done.
keep it done.
Please leave now.
They're in charge of the meeting.
You're done.
You have to comply with the rules.
This is not a place for you to come give a political speech. This is your time to voice your opinion.
I am, as a resident,
No.
as a resident, but I also had personal disclosure.
Trustees, you're done. Rob?
I also had personal disclosure.
Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
But as I was saying, my father was a police officer, injured on duty, and you guys don't take care of these guys.
I've had two uncles that were injured on duty, and one was killed on duty.
What happens? They have to go to workman's comp. Is that a way to treat police
Thank you
officers?
very much. Okay, so I would like to offer the resolution with half of the 1.5 mil levy for the police fund.
That'll be a .75 mil. Correct.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
No.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have. Next item on the agenda.
We do, Mr. Haddad brought up the representative to stormwater. Zeitler, can you go to that?
Yes, I was going to volunteer
first
that.
time, and then we'll see what we need to do after that.
I will definitely go to that one for you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the fiscal officer, Mr. Simcoe.
We have the month-end analysis for September 2011. Jim, can you get that up there?
No.
Let's see here.
Well, I'll talk, but it should come up. And right now, our standard percentage for expenditures would be 75%, as you can see, and all departments are below that, and that continues to be our trend, and that's a good trend. I should note, though, as you see, that we really received, in our revenues, we're in the mid to high 90s in some. We really received all of our property tax monies. There are some monies that are still coming, that will be coming in. We have the cat tax and the franchise fees, but those are generally smaller sums of money, so as you can see, almost all of our money is in right now. I can report that all departments continue to do a good job, I believe, on monitoring their budgets, and we continue to maintain that gap between what the expenditure should be and what they are, and so we have to, it's an ongoing battle, every month's a new month, and so they continue to work hard at this, and I think the people around them are working hard at keeping our monies down, so that's a good thing for us, and so we hope it continues that way for the rest of the year, but we're on track. We've been on that sort of a projection where we're always coming in less than what we planned on spending, and that's a tribute to our departments and the people in them, and that the chiefs and Fred Huffman and our zoning, and Mr. Zeitler, you're leading the pack though on expenditures in the general fund, but you're still below, and that's good. And so Mr. Beck will, and you're in there too, aren't you, Mr. DeWitt? Yes, okay, well, you and Mr. Zeitler. But Mr. Beck, why don't you go ahead and provide our resolutions?
If I may comment, even though the revenues are not 100%, I do anticipate revenues being over 100% in every one of those categories.
Over?
Over 100%. Slightly over, because I have identified items that'll bring it up, to over the 100%, so. With that in mind, I have some resolutions that I'd like to present for approval. The first one is Resolution 11-174, and this is approve a payment on then and now purchase certificates. And this includes two particular vendors, and one of them was the household pickup was more than what we estimated, due to quantities being larger than ever before. And we got an invoice dated prior to the township being able to assign a PO number for the sprinkler system at station number 2. And that's the German Plumbing Company. So they're in budget. In other words, we don't have to ask for more money. They're there, but we just didn't get the POs that cut in time.
Offer Resolution 11-174, a payment of a then and now purchase certificate.
Jim, you weren't at the last meeting. You need to spell certificate properly.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Next resolution is Resolution 11-175, and I think Chief Brumby alluded to this earlier, but we received some additional monies from the SCAT grant, and we need to be able to increase the appropriation in a particular line item so we could use those for salaries.
Offer Resolution 11-175, township appropriation from unencumbered balance.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Okay. The last resolution is Resolution 11-176. And this is a, transfer of funds, appropriations, and the fire department is running low on some line items and need additional monies to complete the year. We're not taking any money out of, from another budget. It's all within their budget. So we're transferring from this particular line item to cover where we see shortfalls coming in.
I'll offer Resolution 11-176,
Transfer
appropriation, sorry.
Second.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing more.
Thank you. Anybody sign in to hearing of the public on non-agenda items?
Well, I have a couple open discussions.
Okay, sorry.
The first one is, I just want to, because I monitor the budgets very closely, and I just want to make a note of clarification that training this year in the police department budget was not cut. In fact, some of the officers are taking us, when the chief was up here earlier talking about the court training? That's brand new this year, and so it's additional training for 32 hours for each officer. So I just want to note clarification, training was not cut this year. The second item is I want to just start the discussion that we will be having budget hearings. I'm looking at the dates right now, and we will publicize these dates so they're not official, but I'm looking at October 27th, a Thursday, November 10th, a Thursday, and November 17th, a Thursday. And I'd like to have them start at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, if the board has any preference on that. But I'm not asking for any action today, and we will publicize those hearings when they are set, but just to kind of have you start looking at your calendars for those dates. And then I'll get to it.
I have it. It's here.
Yep. Thank you. Ernie?
Yes, sir. I was, I know you have a lot of disabled people in this community, and I was wondering maybe something in the future where you can have like a forum for those with disabilities to come and meet the council and bounce off ideas and make the community more responsive to those with disabilities, and have those people feel like their input is more appreciated. I know you guys appreciate my coming here, and in the last 6 months, in the last year, as a matter of fact, you guys have made this building a little more handicap accessible. Every time I come in here, it's something new. I kind of would like to share that with other people in the community, and bring somebody in from Simeon Township, and maybe if you guys had a committee or something that would be for their purposes, maybe they would want to come and join and be part of the community. Thank you.
Hey, Ernie, I hope we can lean on you a little bit in December when our independent report is completed, because we're going to need your guys' input with regards to the study that we're doing on TARDA. So plan on us getting you dialed up, and we'd love to have your folk, all the folks involved be a part of this with us. And I'm counting on you to help me get that together.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Albert Regenfeld.
My name is Elvis Whitenfield. I live at 5562 Elmer Drive. I'm going to say Sylvania Township, Ohio. I've already talked to John about what happened. It seems that a city inspector from Toledo decided to inspect house and he got on the wrong side, or she got on the wrong side of the road and inspected all our township people, you know. And obviously what's not good in Toledo is okay in the township.
That's why you live here.
That's exactly right. So most of the neighbors around me, they said, do their hearts good, that if I come over and told the township trustees how they felt about what happened. And generally speaking, we're upset about, it's not so much the mistake, it's what they did. They didn't accomplish. When they gave that letter, and I showed him that, they gave you $72 to do this, or pay $50 or $300. I got a neighbor who's about 85 years old, and she seen that letter, she could have, you know. So, what they would like is maybe let somebody know in the city of Toledo that although it was a mistake, they could have at least said, hey, we're sorry, and all that. But what they did is they gave us kind of a smug answer, say, hey, you know what, that happens, you know. But where we have a problem is, we don't mind somebody driving by our furnace yard and saying, you know, they don't like our mailbox and all that, but some of the things that they complained about, they had to go to the backyard, you know. And so, maybe tell them that we just don't appreciate unauthorized people, you know, going in our backyards. And
I will definitely call this department and let them know, you know, what their mistake was and that we don't appreciate how they handled it. And certainly, you know, I don't believe anybody has the right to go inside of a fenced yard without the authorization of the homeowner. And I think this just shows you that the city of Toledo is in need of money, and, you know, they're willing to do anything to try and collect it. And that's, you know, what they were trying to do, was strong-arming, you know, the residents around your house to get, you know, $300, it looks like, just quick. And I, you know, mentioned to you, I got several threatening letters about income tax, and I told them I lived in the township, and they said, oh, gee, sorry, we just saw you had a Toledo mailing address. And, I mean, it just looks like they're grasping for straws these days, and I wish they would do a little bit more homework before they would send these threatening letters, because certainly when I got it, I was quite shocked and surprised and scared, because again, you know, I don't want somebody coming after me, and I try to adhere to all the rules. And
John, would it help if maybe Tim's department would give a list of
yeah, if
streets?
you could give a copy of this to Tim, or I can give him mine, and
yes,
I will call the department as well and let them know that just because it has a Toledo mailing address does not mean that you have the jurisdiction to go in and.
Basically, I was telling him, you know, mine, I got it like, you got a vehicle that doesn't operate, which I don't, and it's licensed, but, you know, like I say, they'll operate, knock on wood. I could walk out there and, you know, the tires go flat, but that's about it, you know. But I think, you know, if, I've called them, I told them, you know, maybe you ought to change your ways, because maybe that's why people are leaving Toledo, not coming back to Toledo. So,
I would agree.
So,
thank you.
I would appreciate that.
Certainly. Thank you.
Carol?
I'll pass, thank you.
Okay. Jessica? She's still here?
It's a little bit, it's obviously somewhat title related, but not to the specific item from before. I actually want to make almost a correction to my remarks at the previous meeting in a way. When the study was authorized, and I remarked that there was another municipality also doing a study. My best information now is that it is in fact at least the same consultant, this J.M. Rubino's firm. I'm pretty sure from, Lucas County has also retained him in some capacity, so I don't know if it was more a question of the township is contributing to the single, I was at another public meeting with this Peter Yavahi from the county, and it's, you can clarify on this, but it seems to be the Sylvania Township is kicking in part of the cost of one study that's being...
We are having an independent study done, and we are paying for that.
It's the same...
It is the same consultant. and he's here, and he's kind of piggybacking because he's in the area. He's not charging us transportation costs and other costs associated with him doing the study, but we have him independently, and he will be providing a report specifically directed towards the township.
All right, the reason I was so interested in identifying the consultant is apparently you have somewhat anticipated this. I'm anxious that users of public transportation, if this study is going to be done, that users of public transportation be permitted a chance for input. As Ernie said, I think it would be good if it was kind of done in a public setting, but perhaps also with the opportunity to contact him. I know that probably between the two studies, you're looking into a lot of different options and a lot of different providers. I would hope that he's somewhere along the way, including TARDA as part of. I hope it's not going from the standpoint of how can the other providers be an alternative to TARDA, but rather keeps TARDA in the mix, because some of the other transportation providers have much more specific eligibility requirements. Lucas County DD, there's going to be a lot of people who have disabilities that qualify for TARPs that don't qualify for DD services. I'm one of them. There's going to be seniors who can go to the senior center. Younger people with disabilities don't use the senior center. All of you will have received some emails from me yesterday following up on the Northwest Ohio Passenger Rail Forum, where they presented a sample resolution for municipalities to, it was in support of passenger rail, but I would suggest that as a alternative to another solution to the problem of funding public transportation in general, a more united front with the other municipalities in the area, with some pressure on the state and federal governments for support of public transportation and kind of more of a shift of spending priorities. I sent all that material in email.
It's my understanding that the main focus of his study will be to look at what our transportation needs are. And unfortunately, TARDA has informed us that it's an all or nothing with them. And so I'm not so sure TARDA is going to be involved in, the solution for Sylvania Township. But we do want to make sure that we know what our needs are, and we want to make sure that our citizens who depend and need public transportation will be taken care of. But, I think the majority of our residents think there's a lot of waste in that area, and we are going to be looking at ways that we can trim that. And it's unfortunate that TARDA has taken that stand, but if that's their stand, we're willing to move forward and see what we can find out.
As I said, I would just ask that Mr. Rubino's and his process be sort of accessible, well, to the community as a whole, but especially to the people that need the services.
Certainly.
Jessica, thank you for submitting your resume, first of all. And part of me was thinking, if you weren't going to be on the TARDA board, personally, I'd like you and Ernie to be kind of the lead liaisons for our committee once we get this independent study. And then would love for you to be a part of that also with Ernie to make sure that we are going down the right path for all the citizens out there.
The one other thing I'll call your attention to, which I emailed already, speaking of studies, there was one which I think it's the American Public Transportation Association, it's called APNA. They found that public transportation the study is actually called How Public Transit Benefits Those That Don't Ride It. And the big one that was cited yesterday was that it actually drives up property values to have that accessible nearby.
We're by no means looking at just dropping public transportation. But, as many of our residents keep pointing out, there are a lot of empty buses and things, and we just want to make sure that our residents are getting properly serviced and for a reasonable price.
And actually, John, maybe they'll come back with a report that says TARDA is the best deal in town. We don't know. It's an independent study.
Well, I can give you guys a point of clarification. TARDA doesn't have a choice. They have to give us all or nothing. not your choice because of the way the levy is. So it isn't all or nothing whether we want it or not. On the study, he specifically sat down with me and said, you know a lot of information, so I'm going to use you, so I want half the $2,000, I want $2,000 of the $4,000 for the study. For my time and input.
But just one more point is that I think we all heard him say that he would like improved transportation in the township
Yes.
at a less cost.
Yes.
And he thinks that's doable.
Yes.
So
It is doable.
we're going to improve the transportation and we'll make sure that everybody is included in their discussions in the study and that nobody will be excluded because the more people that give their input, the better the study.
Correct. All right, I would offer,
For the executive session, Susan, I think we don't need anything at this time, so
no?
we
Okay.
do not need to go for anything we have.
I would like to offer a motion to adjourn at 8:08.
Second. Mr. Mahoney? Yes. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haley?
Yes.